We are speaking to Mr. Pakwesi Hagan, who is the managing partner at Globetrotters Legal, a corporate immigration law firm which is headquartered in Accra, Ghana, and has a network of affiliates in various African countries. He will be telling us about business immigration into Ghana. Welcome, Mr. Hagan.
Thank you.
In broad terms, what is Ghana's policy towards business immigration?
In my view, Ghana's policy towards immigration is one that actually encourages business activity in Ghana. For a business traveler who intends to come to Ghana, they are required to obtain a B1 visa from a Ghanaian consulate or embassy from the country of origin. Now, an emergency visa route is available for business travelers who, for some stated conditions, are unable to obtain a visa from their country of origin. A business traveler is eligible for obtaining an emergency visa on arrival where there is no embassy in the country of origin, or where for urgent business travel, he is unable to travel to the nearest embassy to obtain a visa. Ghana operates a visa waiver program with certain category of persons. ECOWAS nationals do not require a visa to come to Ghana, but will be issued with a 90-day stay upon entry into Ghana. Other countries also include Kenya and some other East and Central African countries. To add to this, the President has recently announced a visa waiver program to be extended to all African Union states. This would mean that citizens of those countries will not require a visa to come to Ghana, but will be issued with a visa or permission to remain in Ghana for a period of 30 days when they arrive at the airport or other ports of entry.
What types of activities can a business traveler undertake on a business visa?
Generally, a holder of a business visa is allowed to attend meetings, trade fairs, conferences, seminars, and may be allowed to undertake maintenance activities for a brief period. Beyond this, the business visitor may be required to obtain work authorization if they intend to carry on hands-on work for which they will be paid. Generally, there are two main types of work authorization. We have the short-term work permit and we have the long-term work permit. The short-term work permit is available for activities that will not exceed 6 months. This type of permit is non-renewable, and holders of these permits will not be required to work beyond the 6 months. The long-term permit, however, is for a longer duration of 1 year and renewable thereafter upon expiry.
Which organization is responsible for the issuance of work permits in Ghana?
The main agency responsible for the issuance of work permit in Ghana is the Ghana Immigration Service, under the Ministry of Interior. However, various sector regulatory agencies have a role to play with the work permit process. Notable of this is the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC. Under the GIPC regime, a company may be entitled to automatic immigrant quotas depending on the level of investment that they've put in that particular entity. For instance, a company that has a minimum equity between 50,000 and 250,000 is entitled to one automatic quota. For those between 250,000 and 500,000, 2 automatic quotas, 500,000 to 750,000, 3 quotas, and between 70,000 and $1 million, 4 automatic quotas. These automatic quotas are actually indefinite residence permit slots for the company, which can be applied for as and when they are bringing in expatriates to work for the company. With respect to the oil and gas sector, the regulator, Petroleum Commission, has set rules specific for immigration processes for the sector. These are: 1. Labor market testing is required for the process. Specific newspapers have been designated for companies to advertise the roles that come up. Any vacancy of these companies would have to be communicated to the Petroleum Commission. All applications in itself must be submitted to the Petroleum Commission for processing of work permits. It is only on approval by the Petroleum Commission that recommendations will be sent to the Ghana Immigration Service for the issuance of the work and residence permit for the applicant. With respect to the mining sector, a letter of approval would have to be obtained from the Minerals Commission in support of all work permit applications for workers in the sector. For companies that are registered with the Ghana Free Zones Board, their entire work permit process is channeled through the Ghana Free Zones, who make this application on behalf of the assignees who are coming to work in Ghana.
Is labor market testing required for work permit application?
Generally, a labor market testing is required for a work permit application. It goes without saying that any company that intends to employ a foreign national must advertise the position and make efforts to recruit a Ghanaian first before offering the role to a foreign worker. Labor market testing is actually stricter in certain sectors than others. The oil and gas sector has the strictest of all labor market testing procedures. These include advertising in 2 designated newspapers. The employer has to communicate the vacancy to the Petroleum Commission. Efforts to recruit a Ghanaian must be evidenced with every work permit application that is submitted to the Petroleum Commission. And where no Ghanaian exists for the position, companies are required to recruit Ghanaian understudies who would understudy a foreigner who is brought in the position. In addition to this, they would have to complete localization templates detailing what type of training that will be given to this Ghanaian national, as well as the duration of such training. And in fact, these things are being monitored by the Petroleum Commission to ensure compliance. Labor market testing is less strict in the case of GIPC regulated companies, in that automatic quotas that are issued to these applicants are actually issued on the basis of investment rather than availability of skill set.
Mr. Hagan, can one start work immediately upon receipt of work permit?
For an assignee to be fully work authorized, one must obtain both a work permit and a residence permit. So upon attaining a work permit, one is not fully work authorized and must take steps to obtain a residence permit, which is placed in their passport before they will be fully work authorized to commence work activities in Ghana.
And which dependents may accompany the main applicants to Ghana, and are they allowed to work?
Now, the law defines a dependent to include a spouse and a child, and therefore, with the necessary dependent residence permit obtained for them, they'll be able to reside in country with the main applicant. However, this particular permit, the dependent resident permit, does not allow the spouse or the children to work in Ghana. If the spouse requires to work in Ghana, they would have to obtain a work permit in their own right.
Are there any penalties for illegal employment?
The law provides for penalties for illegal employment in the form of fines that the company and the employer may be liable to pay.
Does a foreign national in Ghana need to be registered?
All foreign nationals who intend to stay in Ghana for a period of 3 months and above are required to obtain a non-citizenship Ghana card. This card is a biometric card that is generated instantly and would require that their applicant provide their original passport and some biometric information. It is valid for a period of 1 year and renewable thereafter.
Are there any reporting obligations of an employer who engages a foreign worker?
An employer who employs foreign workers in Ghana is required to notify the Ghana Immigration Service upon arrival of the prospective employee. They are also required to notify Ghana Immigration Service on the departure of such an employee after the cessation of their work. In addition, the company is expected to file annual return of employees in their employment at the beginning of every year and no later than the 14th of January of every year. Failure to file this annual report may lead to sanctions.